Right, folks, we're back and we're going to start looking at a concept of how we can find, again, this all has to do with customer value analysis. Many times you need to produce a report that'll have something to do with give me their first order revenues, but also give me their sales within the first 7 days of ordering. Maybe the first 30 days, the first quarter. And we're going to show you a pattern to do this pretty easily, and I think it's going to make a lot of sense. So at this point, we're not writing everything from scratch. We're starting with this base table where I have the order rank of the customer. We're going over all 14,596 orders, and our rank here it restarts for every customer. Rank 1 means it's the earliest order. And what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to use a correlated subquery, and then we're going to want to sum the sales from the amount column from the first date up to 7 days into the future. So let's just start hacking away at it. Might make a couple of mistakes, might not, we'll see. So let's just do for now BT star to get everything from it. And then we're going to start with our subquery. So I think it's going to be like select the sum. We'll just call it payment P2 amount from payment P2. And here's where the key logic comes in. We're going to say where the P2.payment date is between. This is another operator. You can do between. You can say it's going to be between the BT.payment date and I'll just copy and paste the BT payment date plus an interval, which is an operator, and then you can say how many days. So I'll just kind of break that down. And don't forget that we also, this is an inner query that references the outer query. The reference to the outer query is bt.payment date, and we're saying that the sum of our inner query amount has to be between these two things, but we also want to make sure we're only selecting one customer at a time, so to speak. So we also need to make sure that the customer IDs from the inner query and the outer query match. So we're going to say something like bt.customer ID equals p2.customer ID. And let's run that, see if it works. Missing, all right, from base table BT. And now we have this column. I'm just going to call it forward 7-day sales. And now we have this column which is computing the forward 7-day sales from every row. And let's just look at that really quick. I copied and pasted this. So you can kind of see here, if we just take the sum of the first 7 rows, that's giving us 3193. Now, we don't want it from the second order though. So what we can do here is we can add a where clause to filter the query on the BT table, the outer query, so to speak. And we could say where BT cust order rank payment, which again is specified up here in our common table expression where we create a base table to query from. Let me just copy and paste to avoid typos, equals 1. And again, this is data from the original thing. This is the customer one's first 8 days. We see the sum is 3193 for them. So that's the value we're trying to hit here once we filter it down. And lo and behold here, their forward 7-day sales from their first order date is $31.93. So you can see here, I guess the upshot is um, originally these are their first order totals. During their first 7 days, however, they're spending $31.93. So the value escalates rather quickly for this business. This is generally not what you would see in the real world. You might see a very slow evolution. Maybe this would increase 10% for some customers, 20% for others, maybe zero. It really depends on the product. If it's clothing or consumer electronics, it might not change much at all. But again, this is just sample data. And let's say we wanted to also compute the forward 30-day sales. Let's say you were producing a report for finance and they wanted to see how the relationship was kind of trending here. We could just simply change this, and we would change the interval to 30 days. You could just hit run. Did I forget my comma? No. There we go. So we have first order, forward 7 days, forward 30 days. And you could do this as many times as you like. Again, we're using a correlated subquery. And let me just annotate this a little bit. So correlated subquery. And what's actually happening is that what is the inner query and what is the outer query? So the inner query is our summing of the amount from payment, which we're aliasing as P2 from payment P2. And we're just making sure that the payment date for that P2 sum operation is between these dates in the outer subquery. We're just saying the bt.payment date from the outer subquery, which is basically this, and that date plus an interval of 30 days. And since we're interested on a customer level, you want to make sure that your inner P2 customer ID is joining or matching to your outer BT customer ID. And from this type of analysis, you can go forward and say, what's my 30-day gross sales as a percentage of my initial sale, knowing that you'll need to back this $5.99 out of that. But you get to a point now where you can throw it into Excel or Tableau or ClickView or whatever you want to use. Maybe you're cool and you're using Looker. You're kind of ready to go now. You've got a pretty good data structure and a pretty good base to build more queries from. So hopefully that made sense. You've seen correlated subqueries many times now. It's a great pattern. You're going to use it over and over again. And if you had to figure out how to get the same measure across different time periods in the same query, there aren't that many ways to do it. This is a pretty good way to do it. So definitely try to get this down cold. Maybe I'll come up with a drawing at some later point to kind of help you visualize the inner query and the outer query. But just keep writing it over and over again, make mistakes, and you'll start to get the idea. Thanks.